We're in the holiday season. Lots of people looking for extra cash to spend on their family and friends. My next guest says if the government takes on some very simple reforms, a family of four would have about $4,000 more per year in pocket. So here's the breakdown. You're looking at it right now on your screens. Housing, food, utilities, autos, gasoline, and others. The person who did the math with me now, Salim Furth. He is a research fellow at the American Heritage Foundation. Salim, in your research, you say prices in all these areas are driven up by policy mistakes. Which ones are most costly to the average American?
That's right. So when the government decreases competition, it raises prices. The area where we spend the most for the typical family is housing. So in housing, land use regulation is the area where reform could save people the most money.
Okay, so reform. What about these differences between federal? Do Americans have to sit around and wait for Washington to act, or can some reforms be done at a state or local level?
Absolutely. The state and local governments can do a great deal. So land use is an area where most decisions are taken by local zoning boards and city councils. So if Washington is broken, we can still fix a lot of what's wrong with policy in this country at a very local level by allowing people to build more housing.
So, Salim, for somebody who's listening to you right now and says, yeah, I want to do this, how can the average citizen get involved?
So you can show up to planning meetings in your town or your city. You can go to hearings about potential developments, and you can say, yes, I do want that to be built in my neighborhood. I want more jobs. I want lower rent. I want more opportunities for Americans. Too often, the NIMBYs, the not in my backyard people, are the loudest voices, and that results in things not getting built and homes that people can't live in and jobs people can't take.
So, Salim, I actually have your research here, which is really interesting, and I know you just talked about the over-regulation of land use, but also on your top three, you have vehicle, corporate, average fuel efficiency, you have cement production, you have a sugar program, federal milk marketing, renewable energy mandates. So there's a lot of material here, a lot of places where governments at all levels can be more efficient.
That's right. So we see this, like I said, at all levels of government. Whether it's the federal government having a cronyist relationship with sugar growers and doubling the price of sugar in the U.S. compared to world markets, or state governments that say that you can't braid hair without a license, or a nurse practitioner can't prescribe medicine in some states, although a nurse practitioner in other states can prescribe medicine perfectly safely. All these sorts of restrictions, they benefit insiders. Those insiders take home some cash. They hurt outsiders, and they hurt consumers. And I think too often, policymakers just don't pay attention to who's actually paying for this in the end. So the American consumer is paying about 50 cents a gallon more for milk, about 31 cents a gallon more for gas, and upwards of $5,000 more for a new vehicle because of these 12 policy mistakes.
Salim, this is such good reading. Thank you very much for doing the research. Thanks for sharing it with us. Glad to have you here. Salim Furth joining me there. He is with the Heritage Foundation.